So I have a severe learning disability, right? I was an obese teenager who couldn't spell to save my life and couldn't do math if I had to. So I was in high school, as a senior in high school, I was doing, my homework in high school was speak and spell. And I took that home every day and I had to do that as homework. That will either make you really funny or get your ass kicked. So I got really funny really early. And in my life, what I did is that I found this place where I could, my dad said to me at some point, you can either take an acting class or a typing class. And the idea was that someday I would be a salesman and I would have to learn how to interact with people. And so I decided to take an acting class. And in an acting class, I found a place where I could actually succeed, and other adults and other people around me said to me, oh, you're really good at that. And as a kid, as like a little kid, as a young kid, when somebody says, hey, pats you on the ass and says you did a good job, it's amazing how that can completely change your entire life. So I did that in like junior high school, and then high school, I started doing it, and that kind of took over my entire life. In high school, I started working in college plays. I started doing plays in college. I never thought I was going to be a professional actor. I mean, in my entire life, I feel so weird being on the stage with this thing. Can I come down there? So look, the whole thing is that I never thought I was going to be a professional actor. I just kept doing what I love. And if you do what you love, and you keep doing what you love, and you keep doing what you love, eventually you'll find a way to make money on it. And or you'll do some shit else. Excuse me, kids, sometimes I cuss too. Sometimes you'll find a way to do something else. Something in your life will, if you're on a path, at some point you'll find something else that's near your path or on your path, and you'll just change directions and you'll do that thing. I was lucky because I was a kid saying, I like to be an actor. I'm good at being an actor. I wasn't a great actor, but I was good because I was different than all the other kids around me. Hi, Kitty. And because you were different and people patted you on the butt for being good, I just continued and continued and continued. And I got lucky enough to do it now as a life. The first movie I ever did was a movie called Serial Mom. Wait, back up, don't, it's good, you can play Serial Mom, yeah. I started a theater company when I was 19. I tried college for a year. I was really bad at college for all the reasons we just discussed. When you have 23 units in college, and half of them, or 2/3 of them are in theater arts, and you fail all the other ones that aren't in theater arts, you know that college may not be your jam. And look, I think that if you find something in life that you're good at and you can focus on, you can attack it. So I attacked that shit. Went to New York, went to a place called Circle and Square, studied theater, and look, at some point I realized that if I wanted to be an actor, I had to beat everyone around me. That was a big piece of it. Like, I had to realize that I do not look like Skeet Ulrich. He's a handsome, handsome man. So if I was going to be able to compete with that dude on looks, I better be better than him as an actor. Not that I am, but I had to be a good actor. I didn't want to suck. So I took my craft really seriously, and I worked on it really hard for a really long time. And I actually work on it harder now than I ever did as a kid. My first movie was Serial Mom. There you go. At which point Ricky Lake said, a lot of people only do one movies and they never do another movie after that. Which is completely true in our messed up world. Because if you study acting from a very early age and you continue your entire life, you may never get a chance to be in any movies. So I did that movie. I've done a lot of movies since. Most of them are pretty horrible. And oddly enough, a lot of you wanted me to sign the DVD cover today of those horrible, horrible films that I'm in. And I've been in good movies. I've been in small movies, I've been in big movies, I've done television, I've done plays. I teach a lot now. At some point in my life, look, in my life, I thought, look, in the 90s, you had this idea, our industry has changed a lot. We actually don't make a lot of money. If you're a blue collar, yes, there are a lot of people that make a lot of money. But blue collar actors don't make a lot of money. The people that you see all the time, like those character actors, Hollywood doesn't think that they need to pay us. And crazy enough, they don't. Because we actually, once you're doing it for a long time, that's your job. And there's a lot of people that want your job. So a lot of times you end up working for the lowest common denominator that they're allowed to pay you. So Descendants is like one of my favorite movies I've ever been in. I made no money and I hadn't worked in a year when I got that job. I have 3 kids, I have a family. It's hard to feed kids without a job. So I will say that part of the joy of these cons is that it helps feed my kids for a year. What you guys do for us, whether you know it or not, helps sustain our lives. So people don't say it very often, and you may not know it, but we are appreciative of the money you give us. And if somebody doesn't have the capacity to say that, let me say that on their behalf. Thank you for what you give us this weekend. We appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, in the blue hair with the beautiful makeup, yes.
How do you feel about that movie Scooby-Doo playing Shaggy?
How do I feel about it? It's awesome. And I still do it, so I believe that I am the custodian of a character that I love. And for as long as I can do it, I'll do it. But a guy named Casey Kasem did it for like 30 years. So I believe that it is my job to protect the character and to keep it safe until the next guy comes along, and I will gently and happily pass it to whoever that lucky person is. But that's gonna happen at some point. Yeah, in the back standing up very aggressively with no sleeves on. You're real buff, bro. Oh, and angel wings. Handsome and angel wings. I think you're alluding to my overwhelming need to eat. It's so funny. I got it, bro. You don't have to illustrate it anymore. We all understood what you're saying. That was never my jam. It's not my jam. I had no problem with it, but that's not my jam. Yeah. Thank you. I like your singular clap. That was awesome. I love your scream. One clap. That was a one clap performance. SLC Punk is one that you can clap for. That movie, the sequel to the movie came out. I am not in that sequel. There's a very interesting transaction between the writer-director and I'm not in that movie. I also believe that movie is something you shouldn't mess with unless it's completely fantastic. I think that of all the movies, if I walk down the street right now in any city, anywhere in the United States, some kid who looks like people in this room, or was like me in high school, somebody who's on the outside looking into like what normal society is, will find me and will say to me, thank you for making that movie. And that movie's been passed down from generation to generation of kids on the outside looking in. So for me, you don't fuck with movies like that. Like you let them live, and then if you make a sequel, you take great care to make sure it's exceptional. I haven't seen the sequel, but maybe it is for that next generation. Yeah?
Another Scream reference.
Scream reference, yes.
Kind of a two-part question. My mother is going to be so mad at me is like my favorite line in that whole movie.
Right.
First of all, was that ad-lib?
So my mom and dad are going to be so mad at me was an ad-lib, yes. Well, it was one ad-lib. It was this thing where it happened in the moment. And it's the same shot that he hit me with the phone.
Yeah.
So that was a lucky take. If you think about all the lines that I've said in all the terrible movies in my life, to have 2 of them be caught in that little sphere of influence was lucky for me. And it was also lucky that Wes, God bless his soul, and Kevin decided to keep it in. It's funny, the line is, you effing hit me with a phone, dick, and you're only allowed one F in a PG-13 movie, and that was it. They had another one in another place in the movie, and they cut it to keep that line, which is good. Got my man in the back. I thought you were awesome in Dungeons and Dragons, the movie. I know you are the best Gimli ever. You are going to win the costume contest right now. Interesting interaction. It's there's so many cell phones. It doesn't really matter. It didn't go well. And I just directed a movie called Fat Kid Rules the World, which if you like that movie, my version of that film is a movie called Fat Kid Rules the World, which is a super powerful moment in my life, in my career, as an artist, as a man. It's the single thing that I could, if I die and they have that, well, I will die. I'm for sure gonna die. But if I could have one thing in my life to be remembered as in this business, it would be that film, Fat Kid Rules the World. So I just come off of that movie, and I think he thought I was gonna try to direct SLC Punk in some way or shape or form, or try to take over, and that wasn't my jam. And in my life, and I'm not gonna tell you, I've had 3 people that if they came across my path again, I would choose not to work with. And in 60 movies and however many TV shows, that's a pretty good number. But I do think that if you walk through life with joy and grace, it's really hard to be a jerk around that. And I try to walk through life and try to walk through this industry and my job with a sense of joy and happiness. And it's really hard to be an asshole when the guy next to you is like, hey dude, you're making a movie. We're doing this shit right now. This is awesome. That's my belief at least. But those 3 people did not care. They were just assholes. Yes. You want me to, free hugs.
I want to give you a free hug just for being here.
Oh, so creepy in front of so many people. No, that's gonna start a weird thing. No. It's also when Matt gets stabbed. Yeah.
Did you actually see them in their makeup?
Yes, 13 ghosts in the makeup. Yeah, they all have actual makeup. The crazy thing about that is the Juggernaut, the big African American dude, he disappeared halfway through shooting that film. It was never seen from production again, which is weird. Yeah, he just took off. He was not into it. That movie is so crazy that this audience likes that movie so much because that movie's actually really bad. If you watch that movie again right now, you get, wow, that's right, this is shitty. Why am I watching this?
It's awesome.
And you can all boo all you want. It sucks. That movie's bad. And I will say the funny thing about that movie is it was all, that house was made of glass. And when you pump a lot of light into a bunch of glass, it gets hot. And if you have a bunch of people in makeup sweating, it's a weird, stinky set. My little Shirley Temple. That's you. You like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo? You like the Awesome Gang? I think they like you too. You want to hear something crazy? You what? You see it on the TV. I want to thank you personally for putting my kids through college. What? Oh, and your town. Oh, amazing. Do you want the microphone? Just keep telling us all. Oh, I did. Thanks. I will tell you one of my favorite things to do is porno Shaggy. But there are so many children in the room. Oh man. One more time. Oh, how to get the role and scream? It's a funny story, true story. I auditioned for it, and they looked at me and they said, "You are not cute enough to date Nev Campbell." I dated Nev Campbell for 3 years after the movie. That's a win for the ugly guys. And so they had me audition for Stu afterwards, and then Wes was there that day, and he came in and saw it, and he was awesome. He was the best. I'll tell you that in my life, as I go through these moments where we ebb and flow. The weird thing about our society and fame in general is that you expect Justin Bieber to be really good and figuring it out his whole life. And that kid is figuring it out as he goes. There's ebbs and flows in all of our careers, and it's hard to maintain, and it's hard to be on top all the time. And so when it's bad for me, and it's been good lately, and it will be bad again very soon, I'm sure, and then it'll be good again, then there's moments in my life that you hold on to. And I said this at the last Comic-Con thing, or the Monster Mania. Wes Craven said to me one day, while we were shooting the end of Scream, he said, someday you're gonna win an Academy Award. And I said to him, oh yeah, tell my mom and dad that, because they don't believe that, there's no way. And he picked up the cell phone, because there was only one cell phone on the set back then, it was about this big. And he called my mom and dad and said, someday, this is Wes Craven, and someday your son's gonna win the Academy Award. And I'll tell you, when it's bad, and when you doubt, and you're down, and you feel like you're never gonna work again, and you have to feed your kids, the moments like that remind you that you don't suck. It's just an ebb and a flow. And you hold on to those little beats. And you say, what people influence your life? That great question, other than George Clooney. Wes Craven was one of them. But there's this fraternity of us that did the first one that is unparalleled to anything I've ever experienced in any film since. Because there was no expectation of greatness. Nobody's trying to make an iconic film. We were doing a movie with a director who had had a series of flops and had done Nightmare, which at that point had become camp. And there's a lot of people in the world that may not be represented in this room that were like, at that time, it was a crappy horror movie. So there was this zeal and reckless abandonment and this freedom and this joy in making that film that is unparalleled. We also worked at nights. When you work at nights and you're a young person and you like to drink beer sometimes, you go home and you can't go to a bar at 7 a.m. when the sun comes up, so you go to David Arquette's room. And that kind of thing, when you're on location and nobody has families, and you go to a room and you sit around and you drink a couple beers and you enjoy each other's company, and there are no cell phones, and there's no Twitter, and there's no Facebook, and nobody's catching up with anyone. You're in a room at 7 a.m. having fun. Unparalleled, never happened again in my life. And actually, when you watch kids these days, and you're doing a Marvel movie, nothing against Marvel, I'd love to be in a Marvel movie. But it's not the same thing. 6 months of chasing a $150 million movie, it's, you're talking about kids making a little horror movie in the middle of Santa Rosa, California, and you happened upon lightning. You happened upon a movie that became iconic. Every movie wants to not suck. Sometimes they're really terrible, but everyone's always trying to make good movies, which is sometimes forgotten in the world. So I did a movie called Hackers. I played a character named Serial Killer. And I just saw, it was the 20th anniversary of that movie. That's so old. That's a horribly old moment for me. They had not a midnight screening, but 10 o'clock screening in LA. And I took my kids to see it. They didn't get that movie at all. They're like, wait, Dad, why are you on those skate things? I just kept saying, hack the planet. It was Angelina. I have a funny story about that. I have Angelina Jolie's first movie. It's her second movie, but it was her first lead in the movie. And there's a scene in that movie where the guys are all checking out the laptop, and she's on the bed making out with her boyfriend. And in that movie, she tries to take a, hey, what's up, buddy?
Hi.
How you doing? Okay, there you go. But there's a moment in that movie. There's a moment in that movie where she takes off her top, like she lifts up her top, and like they do our coverage, and our coverage is like, oh my gosh, and they kind of did the wide, and nobody thought she was gonna do it, but she ripped her top off, and all the guys were like, oh my god, oh my god. That was a funny Angelina Jolie boob story. But that movie was a fun movie. They're all fun movies.